Welcome, everyone. Oh, it sounds like we got a little bit of feedback going on here. We'll have to watch. All right. Sounds a little better. Welcome to Coach's Corner again. We got a great episode to start the year. Can you guys, I am getting feedback. Are you guys really close to each other in the other rooms? No?
It's like
we will try to
muted, but you, something's going on your end.
Oh, it is actually. I'm sorry, guys. Take it over, Cy.
So what Bronis is trying to say is that we're happy that you're here with us in 2026 for the first Coach's Corner episode. And it's a new year. Hopefully we had great holidays. We had a good new year. And with the new year comes a new focus for many of us. And one of the things many of us, myself included, make resolutions on is nutrition. And tonight's episode is not about nutrition. And this is really weird because everybody's muted and I can see your feedback. Just the same moment. Okay. So with the new year comes resolutions and a desire to better ourselves. And one of the important ways we can do this is through nutrition. I don't like to use the word diet because people think of diet as calorie restrictions as opposed to a way of eating like the Mediterranean diet or a French diet, but it's a way of eating. So tonight we have a crazy knowledgeable guest, and I am going to ask Lady Melanya to unmute herself, and I will mute myself, and we will, and if you could give your incredibly extensive background. So I'm going to mute, and Melanya, Scythe, can you pull her over to the main screen? Can you do that producing bit for just now?
I am not logged in as an admin, so no.
Okay, so you're gonna see my face, but this is Melanya's information. So Melanya, just to give your introduction and your background.
Okay, yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. My name's Melanya Kushla. I am a registered dietitian in both the US and Canada, and I've been in practice for about 15 years. I'm also a health education specialist and a chef educator. The bulk of my career has been for the US Department of Veterans Affairs, but I also run my own private practice now. And prior to that, worked with MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters. So I kind of got my start in sports nutrition and then segued over to military personnel and veterans. And now I work with everybody, to be honest. And I'm here today to talk about nutrition. And as Bess said, it's not really about following a prescriptive diet, but learning to apply what you know to kind of blend that with what your body is telling you it needs and listen to your body to a degree too. So we'll go through some scenarios. I think Bess has quite a few questions for me tonight. So looking forward to it.
No shock there. Master Gigan, would you like to introduce yourself and explain your background and connection to this show?
Hello, my name is Master Gigan. I'm Melanya's partner, and so my connection is that I'm the
guinea pig.
That's the word. I didn't want to say it, but that's the truth. I'm the guinea pig because I think that when I met Melanya and I started asking her pointed questions, that it started really helping me in my fighting career.
And of course, Scythe, would you like to add to this?
I'm Scythe. Hi. I don't have any professional nutrition background, but I did more of a DIY exploration into nutrition several years ago when I was trying to both lose weight and build muscle and get better at fighting. So I'm actually very interested to hear how what I figured out on my own compares to real advice from a professional. So.
And of course, Bronis, would you like to give it a go and share your thoughts on nutrition or where we are right now?
Really, I'm a general person as far as listener, because tell you the truth, nutrition hasn't been on my end of doing a lot of research on. So I'm really just going to try to listen to this. So you actually probably see me fall off. I think Tristan will be joining us soon, but I'm really looking forward to listening and hearing what's all the questions and things like that.
Super. Thanks, everybody. So I've asked everybody their connection. My connection to this is I like to eat food, and I'm a terrible cook.
Connection.
And I'm really bad with. I live alone, so I'm really bad about cooking meals or getting meals. So that's where I am. So, I have some questions for Melanya, and I thought that we could kick it off. And of course, if any of the viewers, if any of you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And of course, we'll be looking at them as well. So first things first, this is Coach's Corner. So can you give us just an overview about food and like why it's good other than like it's delicious?
Well, without food, we would die.
Okay, well, that's
in a nutshell. Just to be very blunt about that. But not just food, certain nutrients. And I do want to take a moment just to distinguish nutrients from other things we might find in food, because food is a combination of things that are nutrients, but also just extra compounds. Nutrients are explicitly compounds that we need to consume to survive. Our body does not make them. But we find a variety of nutrients and compounds that our body doesn't need to consume in food. So it's a little bit of both. That's the big reason why we need to eat. And making sure we get enough and all of those nutrients regularly throughout our day and our lives is the big challenge.
See, it is a challenge. When I read about nutrition, it's like make your plate a rainbow and make sure you get, like, if you're lifting, make sure you get like X number of grams of protein for your body, and make sure that you're low in carbs and don't eat bad fats. You're like, and do all that stuff. I find that very
confusing.
Job. It feels
overwhelming. Yeah.
Job, and
it is a job.
To be able to eat. Have you got any comments about that?
I do. Nutrition is really simpler than what it seems like it is. We are all products of our society to a degree, and diet culture has been in existence since the 60s and 70s. So we've all lived in it now. And to a degree, we're kind of the product of social engineering on that front, which is why it seems bigger and more confusing than it should be. We also have a very complex food system, and there's a lot of, as I mentioned before, nutrients versus other compounds that are in our food that we kind of have to be aware of nowadays. It's not as simple as it once was. So when if I'm telling someone to eat more complex carbs, and an example of that would be, well, maybe like a whole wheat bread, for example. There's still like 50 different kinds of whole wheat bread, or things that look like whole wheat bread that maybe aren't whole wheat, like multigrain or something like that. So it gets a lot more complicated just to make the decisions. And I find it's a lack of confidence is what it comes down to. People do have kind of I don't want to say intuitive, but kind of an intuitive knowledge, at least about their own bodies. We definitely do. And then when it comes to nutrition, we often will think we know something, then second guess ourselves out of it. So I would say kind of trust your gut, not to make a pun, but a little bit on this instead of overthinking it. Overthinking it is when we do start to kind of make it more than it needs to be for what it's worth.
So when we were, before the show began, we were talking, so in our pre-show discussions, one of the things Master Gigan was talking about was that since living with you and eating better or different, I don't know if it's better and I don't know if it's different. I put those words in his mouth, put nutrition in.
It's better.
It's better. He's final twice in our crowns, and when we were discussing about this episode, he actually attributed that success to a lot of the nutrition. So, Gajan, would you like to share a little bit about that, about your thoughts about how Melanya has helped you with nutrition stuff?
Prior, so I should have said this earlier on too, but like prior to meeting Melanya, I think I ate much more like a bachelor, which is not healthy. Um, and so when I started to meet her, I found out she was a dietitian, and I was like, oh, okay. And my first thought was like, oh, like one of those places that sells like diet pills and protein powders and stuff, and I was kind of uncomfortable. And we've talked about this before too, right? And I felt like, oh God, and then I asked more pointed questions, and then was like, oh my God, I don't know anything. And so I started being more conscientious and careful about what I was consuming specifically at that time in fighting, because I'm very focused on that, and changing my diet towards. It started off as what I should eat prior to practice, and then it's gotten more and more like prior to practice, on the way home from practice, the night before Crown, and then the day of Crown, among other things. And it's definitely made me feel not sore in the morning. I don't wake up going, oh,
Yes, because
as
you
I
didn't
get out of bed.
So, Melanya, I do have questions then.
Yeah.
Master Gajan said that he eats well prior to tournaments. What would be something good to eat around a tournament, both before it and then after? Many years ago, I ran a couple of marathons, and one of the big things we said was, "Oh, carb loading, carb loading."
Mm-hmm.
I don't really hear that so much anymore. So, would you like to
Not so much. Yeah. No, that's a great question. This is going to be a long answer because I have a lot to say about this, because it really depends on the type of tournament too. For this, a lot of it goes with the type of exercise you're about to partake in. So if it's an endurance-based exercise, versus a very short burst or an extended period of short bursts is kind of how I see the different tourney styles playing out. So if it's going to be endurance, just kind of endurance, like honestly, this probably wouldn't even be a tournament, maybe just like a melee. That's when carb loading might be the best appropriate thing. I will put a little star here and say I don't typically recommend carb loading for most people anymore.
I would just like to interject. Would you like to explain what carb loading is? Because I just lost that out, but
that's a great thing to talk about too. Carb loading is just exactly what it sounds like, though. You're eating a lot of carbs a few days prior to a prolonged exertion, essentially. And the idea is to beef up the glycogen storage in your muscles and your liver so that you have a higher stock, so to speak, of backup energy. Once you run through what your liver has, your muscles will have something to pull on. It's not the best tactic.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
You referenced glycogen. Could you please explain to us what glycogen is and why?
Yes. Okay. I wish I had a little thing that popped up on the screen with definitions. Glycogen is a storage form of glucose, which is our body's preferred source of fuel. So when we eat carbohydrates, they break down into their base molecule, which is glucose. They enter our bloodstream and they go to our cells, and they either get converted into ATP for the cells to use, or they get banked in fat storage, or they get converted to glycogen, which is the storage form. It's like short-term storage. Like we're not putting it away, like in a storage locker. That would be our fat cells. This is like we have it in the cabinet, just out of sight, but ready to grab when we need it. That's what glycogen does. Most of us will burn through our typical glycogen storages in about an hour or so of prolonged activity. But that's constant movement. So again, think of what the tournament's going to ask of you. If it's going to be like if it's a very like crown tournament's usually different. It's a short burst and then you wait a while. Not like a prolonged hour of continuous exertion. So carb loading, I don't think is going to be the best bet for most tournament styles. And even if it is prolonged, you're better off taking in about 15 grams of a carbohydrate just to replenish those stores a little bit. And this could be something simple like a clementine or a handful of grapes, or I usually go for fruit because it's a nice quick form of energy and it's not very processed. It's not processed at all. Or like crackers if you don't like fruit for some reason. Or pretzels. Those are also all the things you see when passing around snacks.
Fighter food.
When we're at war, they're good snacks. They're ideal snacks. Go ahead and grab a bite. Doesn't have to be a lot. A bite or two will help get you through the next set. So that's kind of my take on carb loading. The other big reason I'm hesitant to advise it is there's actually a disproportionate amount of fighters I've observed in the SCA who also deal with chronic disease or conditions. So something like type 2 diabetes, for example. And you don't want to carb load with that. It can become dangerous quickly. So that's another reason not to do the carb loading. And just that it just doesn't fit the style of exercise that we're doing. So another question you kind of had built into that was like a bunch of questions all crammed into one. That was it was good. It was well delivered. Is what do you eat, right? Not just what you don't eat, but what do you eat? So before a workout, your body is primarily going to need carbs. You don't really need to give it much else. It's only going to be using that energy. After the workout is when you want those other nutrients on board too, because now you're entering the recovery phase. And that is just as important as the actual activity itself, especially if you're training for something, especially if you have a physical goal like building muscle or increasing your endurance. You want to don't neglect the recovery part is kind of what I'm saying. That's just as important here. So before the exercise, you don't want to eat. You don't want to work out on a full stomach or enter a tournament on a full stomach. I think all of us know that. But if you can, you also don't want to do it empty. So you don't have to eat right before you step on the field, but maybe 30 minutes before, have that piece of fruit, or at least I say 2 bites. I call it kind of the 2-bite rule. Have 2 bites of something, preferably something carby. So even if it's 2 bites of a sandwich or 2 bites of like some goldfish crackers, just get a little bit of carb in there. And that way your body has something to use immediately. Because if you're relying on just your glycogen storage, there is going to be a delay. A little bit, but it's subtle, right? And if you're competitively fighting, you want the edge. Post-exercise, so like after practice or after the tournament, that's when if you can hit all of the food groups and have a full meal, that would be ideal. If that's not feasible, like you're still at the event or you have a while to drive to get home, I would take something so you can at least get some protein in within that 30 minutes post-fighting. 30 minutes after we use our muscles is when our body's uptake of protein is the highest as it's doing those initial repairs. So you can maximize the amount of muscle that is rebuilt from that process by getting the protein at that time. It doesn't have to be a lot, even 10 to 20 grams, I would say, for most people should do the trick.
So before
that means there is some truth to the post-workout like protein drink or protein bar that is not completely wild. That sounds like
that's correct. Yes, there is some truth to that one.
Cool.
Yeah. Protein. The biggest thing here is that protein isn't the only nutrient, and we just don't want to forget about that.
Right.
That's the big thing.
In that 30-minute window is like, oh, sucks to be you. You shouldn't even have gone to the gym, or you shouldn't even bothered because now, you're just going to turn into.
No, it's not moot. You haven't missed out on all. Yeah, it's still worth doing. Something I like to say to people all the time is something is better than nothing. Always. Your body will use it.
Okay.
It is an amazing and efficient machine. We're talking about maximizing things here, though. Like, right, if you want to get the edge and really optimize things so your performance reflects that in your fighting. Yeah.
So following up on Sai's question about the gym and the protein bar, you said, Melanya, that it would be good within the 30 minutes to have a meal, if I understood you correctly. what what counts as a meal? Is like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with an apple a meal, or is it like, yeah, you got to sit down and have turkey with all the
Oh,
sides?
I see. Yeah, it does not have to be Thanksgiving dinner. It doesn't even have to be like a hot meal. That's a great question though. A sandwich would be okay. I would just make sure your sandwich has enough protein on it because a PB&J isn't going to cut it. That's probably going to give you maybe 6 or 7 grams of protein. Um, so maybe a really thick peanut butter and jelly. Maybe like a turkey and cheese sandwich would give you a little bit more protein.
Okay.
If you have it on whole wheat bread, we do get protein from whole grains as well. So you get an extra 6 or 7 from that. So between the turkey, cheese, and whole grains, that's pretty solid from a protein perspective. And that would do you.
So
So when,
go ahead.
oh, quick. When you were saying before about the like afterwards is the time to have a whole meal, is
Mhm.
the purpose of that just to get the protein, or is the goal of it being a whole meal to get like you're trying to hit more of the nutrient
Yes.
groups all in one?
The latter. You
Okay.
want to try to get them all together if you can. The protein only is your contingency plan if you don't have the opportunity to eat a whole meal. Yeah. So if you can eat the meal, but like if you're, just after practice and you have an hour drive to get home, that's not going to happen, right? So bring something like a sandwich or a protein shake. Yeah.
So following up on Sai's question, for all these nutrients that we're supposed to get,
Mhm.
why? Like if I'm in the gym and I'm lifting, say, or if I've been at a tournament and I've
Okay.
used up my glycogen,
Okay.
but I've had a couple of bites of something,
Yes.
why do I need something other than protein? Because like all my gym bros on Facebook tell me protein, protein,
All
protein.
protein all the
I
time.
know. I know. It kills me. It kills me. I'm glad you asked. One of my favorite things to talk about. Um, Protein is great. We need protein. I'm not knocking protein, but we have to remember all the nutrients serve a purpose in our body and we need them all. Think of it as them all doing different jobs, right? Um, like wherever you work for, I'm sure there's different personnel there, right? Whatever you do, then you have the HR department, then you have the financial department. They're all doing different things. If you only had one department, it wouldn't function the way it needs to function. And our body's going to be the same way. So these are all doing different jobs. I also like to talk about finances when I talk about food because it's something people can relate to. So protein is usually structural. It's something we invest in our bodies, building things with. So I think of protein as our assets. So protein would be like your house. You have a house. You've put your money into this house. But just having a house won't get you very far in life, right? How are you going to buy groceries with just your house?
Okay.
Yeah. How are you going to get to work with just your house? How are you going to afford to do things? Whereas carbohydrates are like our body's currency. They're kind of the cash flow. And that's our energy, our body's preferred and primary fuel source. So without cash, you're still really not going to be able to do anything but just sit in your house. Um, so we need that too. It's serving a different function. And then fat comes in. Well, fat does a few different things. So maybe it doesn't track with my financial analogy, but the big thing fat does is that it's stored energy. So that's like having your retirement savings account or
In
something,
that
right?
case, I'm a fucking nuclear bomb.
What?
If fat is stored energy, I'm a nuclear bomb.
Oh, it is. Your body loves it. Your body loves storing fat. Like that's why it's difficult for a lot of people to lose weight because your body wants to hang on to it. Um, excuse me, because that is how it feels about it. It sees it as this investment in long-term energy in case you need it. Um, But just remembering that all the different nutrients, and that's just the macros. The micros do their jobs too. They just don't fit into my analogy very well. But they do all the little helper things, right? Like without B vitamins, our body wouldn't be able to convert carbohydrates to a usable form within our cells, for example. So they do all those little tiny helper jobs and they help things move, they help things connect. Um, they help our amino acids that we eat reconfigure into different types of protein. So they do different structural jobs within our body. Because we're not just muscles and water. We also have bones and soft tissue and things like that. So all of the nutrients work together to build all of that, which is why it's not just about protein. Protein does build muscle, but it's not the only thing building muscle. So we need the other things there to help it do that and to help with the overall recovery of our body.
So you've given us a suggestion that if we're at a crown tournament or something, about 30 minutes before, we should have something. Not very much, but
Not a
something.
lot, just a little.
And you've told us we should eat goldfish crackers on the trip coming, or fruit or something, a couple of bites, I guess, during the tournament. And then afterwards, hopefully within 30 minutes, but if not, then oh well, we should have some food. Maybe not a meal as I consider a meal, but like a delicious sandwich with
A
cheese,
robust snack.
a robust snack, probably with some fruit. What would you eat for dinner the night before, or would you need dinner or meals like the Friday? Oh, crowns on Saturday.
Yeah.
What are we going to do on the Friday? Would we start
Yeah.
Thursday? So would you talk about that?
Yes. So balance is always going to be your friend here. So going back to our body needs all these different nutrients, right, to do things. So if you can get some fruits and veggies, some protein, and some form of complex carb, that is winning. And you can combine them, like whatever your choice is within those categories. Just eat what feels good to you, and roughly similar amounts of each, I would say.
Okay.
Something I want to mention here, and this is a big one, is you don't necessarily want to eat differently leading up to a big tournament than you do usually. And that's because our body adapts to what we give it. Consistency is a big thing in nutrition, as it is with anything, honestly. We don't want to throw your body a curveball of nutrients if it's not ready for that, so to speak. And I've seen this where they kind of eat like fast food and like quick stuff throughout the week. And then maybe before they will have a nice meal, but it's so much fiber, their body can't handle it. And they are miserable on the next day. And you gotta ease your body into changes like that. You can't just suddenly increase a nutrient if it's not used to having it, because it's not ready for that. So you don't want to shock your body at the same time. So if you're going to prepare for a significant tournament, I would start a week or two ahead of time. Eating more balanced, just so your body's prepared for that and you're not shocking anything. Just like we say when you're training, right? You want to train the way you are expecting to fight, right? If you train a different way, you can't expect yourself to fight, differently. So eating is similar in this respect, that you want to eat the way you're expecting to eat before a tournament. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So this has been about tournaments, and you said that it might not be the same for melees, or for an extended event like Pennsic, or maybe a Lily. Is Lily still on? I don't know. Or golf, or the big events. So what would you recommend for a multi-day of I'm going to call it a war. What would you recommend for a war, especially when so many of the wars are so hot?
Yes. Well, hydration then. I would start with hydration. And also consider that a lot of people are probably drinking in the evenings as well. So that's another factor. That being said, like the alcohol does kind of work against our nutrition goals, but even if you are foregoing drinking, the hydration is going to be number one. You really shouldn't need to eat that differently. You might want to eat a little bit more, if anything, just because you are going to be burning calories at a higher rate. But the hydration is going to be the big one. You're also losing a lot of fluids. And that actually brings up a good point of electrolytes. If it's a prolonged exercise, similar to the glycogen storage, right at about an hour, I would go ahead and start replenishing with some electrolytes if you haven't already. Water is number one. We definitely want water, but if you're sweating a lot, you're gonna need the electrolytes as well, because you're losing them. Yeah.
Cool. So I forgot to ask. Sorry, Gigan, after a crowd tournament, you said that, or a major tournament, you said that you're less sore. What would you attribute other than like, nutrients? Is there like a specific nutrient or a specific thing that you find that you eat other than say ibuprofen that stops you from being sore?
I've stopped taking ibuprofen, actually.
Get the hell out of town, really?
I have stopped taking. I don't need it. So what I do is I have like because I drive, we don't live in like super local to any practice. So one practice for me is like 30 minutes, give or take, and another is 45 minutes. So I can't really eat a sandwich. What I do is I make a smoothie, and I actually wrote it down here. It's like a bit of oatmeal, flax, um, just like the container says 2 scoops add this, but I usually do like half of 1 scoop of protein, right? So really not that much, or collagen powder, depending on if I'm trying to recover from something, and then oat milk and then a banana, and I have that, and I leave it in the car, and after practice I drink it, and I drink it slowly on my way home, and I feel like a rock star the next morning, and I don't wake up, I don't struggle out of bed, which is a huge change. And that's
Really?
specifically for fight practice,
Okay.
post-fight practice.
With Melanya, would that be that type of smoothie, assuming that you had, I don't know, the ability to blend it all up at Penn's, or at a in our case a murder melee or something? Would that be the kind of drink or like protein that you would recommend?
Yeah, but you can get your protein from any form. It doesn't have to be like in the smoothie form. So kind of like the sandwich example, that would be fine too. Your body is going to break all of that down during digestion and reconfigure it the way it needs to. So it doesn't have to be a specific source of protein. It could be protein powder, it could be meat, it could be eggs, it could be dairy. It could also be a plant-based protein, despite a lot of hearsay out there. They aren't inferior. They just have a different combination of amino acids. So even plant-based proteins would be fine too, like nuts, peanuts, and tree nuts, and all the different nuts and soy products and seeds and things like that. So.
And amino acids are the building blocks of protein, correct?
Correct.
And am I right? There's like 16 amino acids. Is that, or am I like totally out to lunch on that?
There's a few, yeah, there's a lot of them. There's only 9 essential though.
Non-essential. Okay.
Because our body makes some of them itself. And even on the 9 essential, we need them in varying amounts. So we don't need like the same amount of all 9, which is kind of what led to like we previously thought, here's the thing with nutrition, it's an evolving science, right? As we discover things change. So previously, like a few decades ago, we didn't think that plant-based proteins were worth it to a degree because they didn't have the same ratio of all the 9 essential amino acids that we need. But we've discovered that the ones that they are missing or very low on are the ones that we actually need just a teeny tiny amount of. So they actually stack up pretty nicely proportion wise with our own needs.
So I have a question for you then. This is my dinner tonight, and it's TVP, and it tells me that it had 23 grams of protein. Would I have like enough of everything in this with the TVP is the textured vegetable protein?
Yeah.
So with my 23 grams of protein, is it like it's protein, but it's not like the essential proteins and all that? Or
I think it should be fine. So because you have a combination effect there, you have, I think, rice. You waved it around a lot, so I couldn't make sure it was in it. But because you have the soy and the rice and the beans, you're getting a blend of 3 different sources of protein, at least, from what I can see. So those amino acid profiles will overlap, and you will be getting what you need from those. Yeah.
Well, that's neat. Yeah. So Master Gigan is outnumbered tonight. There's the 3 of us, 3 women on this show. So Gigan being the lone man, sorry, I'm going to push you to one side. Melanya, is there something that we as women and as women of a certain age, eventually so many of the fighters that watch the show are going to be, we're an aging society, peri, or out and out menopausal. Are there any kind of nutrients that we need to focus on, not guy-centric?
Not guy-centric.
I don't know what I was talking about.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's a little bit more unique to what women need. Yeah. It's a good question, and it's a relevant question, honestly. Yes, is the short answer to that. Also, just understanding that our body responds to stress a little bit differently than a man's body. And most of the research in nutrition is actually, in health in general, has actually been on male bodies. There's limited research on female bodies and almost no research on non-binary bodies. So I'm doing the best with what I got here. But because of these discrepancies and gaps, they are gaining traction, and we're currently working on more research. It just takes a while for it to finish and come to the surface. But simply put, our body's response to stress necessitates that we need a little bit longer of a recovery period. And I would say the recovery portion of nutrition, so that post-workout eating, is going to hit us harder if we neglect that. Because the recovery period is more important for us to honor, so to speak. If we don't get enough time and if we don't get the right nutrients, our body, like every time we engage in the exercise, we come down a notch, we come down a notch, we come down a notch. Whereas a man's body has a little bit more, what am I trying to say? It will recover from the adrenaline dumps quicker, and it won't need quite so much resource to get to that point.
Okay.
Part of that is having a higher lean muscle mass in general. So if you are a woman or a non-binary person and you have a really high percentage of lean body mass, you might not need that extended recovery period. But if not, then you probably do. And to your point too, later in life, as well as you're approaching perimenopause and menopause, even if you do have a higher lean body mass, that is still going to take you a little bit more time. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very difficult for me to get nitty gritty with this because it's a very individualized thing, to be honest with you. Hormones are all over the place for people, and it kind of depends on where you're coming from, the symptoms you're experiencing, and if you had any hormonal conditions prior to that, like PCOS, for example, or something like that. And that'll affect your body as well.
Sadb, I know you have a topic you'd like to talk about, so would you like to jump in on that?
Yeah. So as I said in the intro, I've done like DIY nutrition and dieting and whatnot because I am a woman and an athlete and live in the world we live in.
Yep.
So over the course of my life, I have done like a lot of the more common diet approaches of like your standard low fat diet and the Mediterranean diet. And when I started really getting into the gym, I discovered all of the like, oh my God, protein, so much protein. You need all the protein in the world. Gym protein. We've done like low carb all the way into like we did keto for a little while. And I didn't find any of them to be god awful terrible or a miracle magical thing. Like they all had random ups and downs, but also like we were talking about at the beginning, required way too much work. Like it is a crap ton of work to track all that stuff. And while it was helpful to do so, especially early on to figure out what I was eating, like it's not sustainable, but these are all really common diet approaches that people take for weight loss and or trying to do gym gains, athletic things, whatever. And I'm curious your take on how those might affect someone in the SCA doing what we do, trying to train and compete as a heavy fighter or a fencer.
Yeah.
Like, how do those sort of weird, extreme, restrictive diets, like we're talking about nutrients, and all of them tend to pick at least one nutrient and go, no, don't do that.
Yes, they do. Oh, I know. And it shifts. If you notice, it's never protein. Protein's the golden child.
No protein. Gym
protein. We do all of it. So much protein.
All the protein. All of it. So much. I have something to say about that too, actually. I have a lot to say about it. That's a great question. It's I would even say like I said kind of a little bit before, we're all products of diet culture at this point. It's been around long enough that I think anybody and everyone listening to this has had some experience with that to a degree. And we've all tried different things. You mentioned something as you were describing this experience. You said not sustainable. And that's exactly what they are. They're not designed to be sustainable for the long term. They're designed to be quick fixes. So when it comes to diets like this, first of all, I have to say, don't recommend them. But I want you to think through them, because ultimately you're the one making your food decisions. I'm not you. I'm not going to do this for you. And you have to be the one living with this at the end of the day and living with your body. So when it comes to these different diets, I really want to encourage you, or any nutrition suggestions or advice or working with a dietitian you might ever have, think about your goals, because all nutrition recommendations are relative to the goal. What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve performance? Are you trying to achieve a look? Are you trying to achieve endurance? Are you trying to achieve a certain body fat percentage? Are you trying to achieve a certain strength, right? Define your goal, because that's going to dictate. What was it?
Or like multiple of those. At the
All
same
of them.
time.
Yes, I know. That's the thing, is we don't like to pick one. You're it can be all of them. The thing with all of them is it's
Not
just
all of them, but
that.
sometimes more than one.
Sometimes more than one. Yeah. It's not going to happen quickly is the thing. And you have to be okay with that is kind of what I'm getting at. If you want something to happen quickly, I would just pick one and work at one at a time and kind of stack them on, so to speak, as you go throughout time, versus trying to do them all at once, because a lot of those are actually conflicting processes. For example, growing is different than losing, right? The process our body goes through to gain muscle and produce and grow is the opposite process that it uses to destroy and take away things. So losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time is a very difficult combination goal. So I typically recommend one before the other, typically fat.
I feel that is the most common combo.
It is the most common. It is. It really is. You can do both. I'm not saying you can't, but we also like gratification, almost instant, but at least within a few months. And when we don't see, we also have a skewed perspective. Well, that's a whole nother topic of body image. But when we don't see what we expect to be the result, we tend to give up, or we tend to call it quits or move on to something different. And if you can stick it out, you can achieve all of the goals. You just have to be prepared for it to take months or maybe even years for all of those goals to come to fruition. If you pick a more specific goal and a singular goal, you're going to see the success a lot sooner with that. And going back to my initial statement, the restrictive diets aren't necessarily the way to get there. Most restrictive diets came about from a physique perspective. It's a look we're trying to achieve, not necessarily a performance. The big reason in MMA fighting and other fighting sports that you have to cut weight is to make a certain weight bracket. In the SCA, we don't have that. So there's no need for us to be restrictive, right? It doesn't matter what we weigh. I would say what the focus would be on performance above anything, right? So not just muscle strength, but also your ability to use like fast twitch muscle, and flexibility is also a really big one that I see under exercised in the SCA, right?
So if someone is in the SCA as a fighter trying to achieve that athletic performance, and then they decide they're going to do like a real low fat diet or real low carb, or one of those where we're taking one of those important, we were talking about carbs and how your body needs them for energy earlier. Take one of those nutrients and you minimize it real hard. Like what effects is that potentially going to have on someone and their their fighting and athletic goals within this?
Yes, that's a great question. The first thing that's going to happen is it's going to get really hard to fight, period. You're going to feel very tired, very fatigued. Maybe you'll get about 30, 45 minutes, then you're going to be pooped. We can push through this because we can, if we don't have enough carbohydrates, our body has backup systems and you'll start producing ketone bodies, which is where the keto diet came from. However, it's not a healthy state to be in, and you're now sacrificing brain function. So,
fighters.
Which we also need to fight.
Which we also need to fight, right? our game isn't just about being strong, right? It's also about technique. It's also about gauging the fight when you're in it and making decisions in the fight. So that's a piece that you lose if you are doing a carbohydrate restrictive diet, is your brain's not going to be able to think like that. It's not going to be able to make decisions. It's not going to be able to regulate emotions either that well, which is another important aspect of fighting. There's a lot of emotions that go on. Frustration, anger, triumph. I don't know, a roller coaster. Exactly.
So
And that's going to be more difficult for your brain to contend with. Yeah.
now you've talked about carbs, and actually, one of the comments that we have is, would you go into complex carbs versus simple carbs?
That's a great question. Absolutely. Absolutely. We need, I would say for fighting specifically, we need both. In reality, for general nutrition, we just need the complex ones. We don't really need the simple ones. They're just for funsies.
And
Complex carbs.
they are.
Oh, yeah. Complex carbs, they're bigger molecules and they have more nutrients in them than just the carbohydrate. They're also, as the name implies, a more complicated molecule structure. So they're the ones that have the fiber in them. And we get a benefit from that. The big piece of fiber does a whole lot too. And I could go off on a whole soapbox on that. But the big thing from a performance standpoint that we get out of fiber is that it's a slow release of energy, which is lovely if we have a prolonged time of fighting ahead of us. So when you eat a complex carb, it's not going to break down very quickly compared to a simple carb. A simple carb would be something that's sugar or just next to sugar. So potatoes, white rice, potato, yeah, simple carbohydrate, yeah. White bread, things made with like an all-purpose flour. Those are all pretty simple. It does not take our body long to break those down, 20, 30 minutes tops. So you're getting all of that energy in one little dump. Okay.
Okay.
And then you're going to burn through that. With complex carbs, they take our body an hour or two to break down. So you're getting a time release of maybe 5, 6, 7 grams of carbohydrate at a time, extended over the next hour or two. So it's you get that extension, so to speak, versus just the dump. That's also how we avoid the crash with carbohydrates, is by eating the complex ones. I'm going to plug my laptop in real quick.
Okay. So while you're plugging in, we did have somebody who asked us if there was a difference between chicken or beef nutrition, or is it just personal preference?
For the protein.
I mean, from a protein standpoint, no.
So
From a total nutrient profile, there are going to be some differences, but both proteins are equally good.
okay.
Okay.
Just
So
preference.
from the larger profile, then what would be
From the larger profile, I would pick chicken. You have a pretty significant contribution of the not so healthy fats from red meats, which do affect your cardiovascular system. And maybe we don't think about that as fighters, but that's the thing that's actually keeping us going. Is our oxygen delivery in our bloodstream. So we do want to keep our cardiovascular system healthy as well. And the saturated fats from the red meats aren't going to help us do that. Also, when it comes to recovery, there are pro-inflammatory compounds in red meats that don't exist in poultry. So we're not going to be aggravating an inflammation. Like, for example, if we twisted or strained something or injured ourselves, that's an inflammatory process. So the chicken would be a better protein to have in that case because you're not adding to the inflammation.
So that's why you said after a tournament, eat a turkey and a cheese sandwich. Now, guys,
Yeah, not a roast beef.
guys, is that your sort of thing to go to? Like is it all poultry then, or?
We eat a lot of fish too.
We eat a lot of fish. Actually, that was something else that I found really helpful for leading up to tournaments was the poultry chicken. I don't really eat that much turkey, but we do eat it a little bit. And then fish, because I noticed that I'll get towards the end of the tournament and I just feel dumb. And then when I started eating more fish, I did not feel dumb, and I could get to the end and go, oh yeah, I don't forget about this stuff.
Would it be like the omega-3s? See, omega-3s, I know my stuff. things in the fish, would that help with the?
Yes, it does. It does. Absolutely. That adds to the anti-inflammatory benefits. Yeah.
Apparently, I've got all my teaching aids here today.
Look at that.
So somebody asked us, because of course here on Coach's Corner, we have more than just the participants. We have everybody involved, the people who are so very important. And we were asked, if I am running a tournament as a steward, what is the best that I can have on hand to offer competitors that would not break the bank? And then they're in
That's a good
Australia,
question.
so it's probably got things that kill them there. We offer kids oranges at halftime during basketball and soccer. Should we keep doing this regardless of age? Yes, because grown-ups love that stuff, or at least I do.
I think it was just before the call up, but the snacks they typically have at wars and melees, those are really top notch. Orange slices, things like grapes would be really good too, actually.
I would like to advocate for grapes as someone who doesn't like oranges.
I also do not like oranges.
I advocate for adding grapes to our.
Let's add grapes to the repertoire. Very good. Yep.
So is it grapes and oranges because they have it's a quick sugar? Is that what you advocate for them?
Fruit, yes, because fruit is a quick sugar, and those are easier fruits to divvy out. So like banana slices aren't going to keep as well. They get bruised very easily. They don't travel well, right? So it's kind of just logistics at that point, I would say. Any fruit will do. If it's your own personal, like if you're bringing like your own personal snack and you want a banana, have a banana, right? Or if you want to peel and chop up a mango, you can do that too. Any of the fruits will work. But for like the steward, thinking of like what travels well, what doesn't need refrigeration, what can I hand out, what's good grab and go, things that are already self-contained, like a little clementine, that's beautiful, right? You don't have to wash it. You can just hand them the clementine and it's nice and small. They can do the rest. Or the grapes. I would wash the grapes, please. But still, it's easy to portion them out, right? They're kind of their own individual things. Put, 8 or 10 of them in a little cup, and there you go. So that would be. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I wasn't sure if you were finished.
Yeah. The other part of this, though, was cost effectiveness, right? And I know depending on where you live, fruit can sometimes be expensive. Also, what season it is. It is not the season for fruit right now. So fruit may be a little bit more expensive. I would say clementines do generally run on the cheaper side of things for the most part, and you can get, a big bag of them. But pretzels are another one I see a lot at fighter events. Those are also a simple carb. They're not as highly ranked as fruit because they're more processed, but they are going to behave similarly in your body because they're a simple carbohydrate. So they're still giving you the quick energy that you need if you need a little boost and you're doing a long day of fighting.
Do pickles give you some of that simple carbohydrate because they began their life as a cucumber, or does the pickling process mess all that up?
That's a great question. They really don't have that many carb. It's mostly water and salt.
Okay.
They're just the vessel for water and salt.
Okay.
Yeah. I know
that'd be for hydration.
So I know that when I'm at Penzic, for example, we drink pickle juice. My camp, no, it was disgusting when I first heard about it. But pickle juice, when you're really after a battle, frick, man, it's better than Gatorade. It's like crack. Now, I will also say, if you take a little swig of tequila before you drink the pickle juice, it makes it better. But that's besides the point.
You're not helping your case.
No, I'm not. But yeah, pickle juice. Pickle juice is actually really good. I love it.
I mean, like a Bloody Mary would be a little better.
Yeah.
Minus the vodka.
Man,
V8.
So happy.
Or V8.
And a V8 is what I'm hearing.
There we go. Thank you. Yes.
Your leaf would be so proud.
Yeah. I mean, my point is there's more electrolytes than just sodium.
Okay.
That's my point.
One of the other things we do in all seriousness, in addition to the pickle juices, my group will also we'll do V8s, we'll do various juices like apple juice or orange juices. It's not the fruit, so I know we're not getting the fiber, but what's your thought about like juices?
They are great for that during the fighting time.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great for that because it's quick energy. Yeah. So, and you don't need a lot. The thing with juice is a little goes a long way. Because when we make juice, it's compounded, right? Like think of a cup of orange juice, there's about 4 or 5 oranges in that. When normally you wouldn't just eat 4 or 5 oranges in a sitting. So with juice, small doses, like quarter cup, and that's all you need.
So can you elaborate a little bit more on non-sodium electrolytes? Because we always hear it's salt. You have to have your water and you have to have salt.
Yeah, you're craving your salt. Go have a salty thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
What non-sodium electrolytes?
Else
Yeah.
should we be doing?
Yes. So salt is I'll say salt is the primary one. And we also call it salt. Like we think of salt as sodium for most of us, I would say, but salt is more of a general term. So there can be potassium salts. There can be different forms of salt and they might still taste salty to us.
Potassium is a salt? Potassium is a salt?
Potassium chloride is a salt. They can form a salt. What I'm saying is there are salts that are not sodium based as well.
What foods would have non-sodium based salts in them? Did I ask that question right?
Yes. What would you recommend we do to get electrolytes that aren't sodium?
Nope, that's a great question. Just eating regular food. Most food has a variety of the electrolytes we need in them already. So the big ones are sodium, potassium, chloride. But we also have calcium and magnesium and phosphorus. Those are kind of the lesser 3, but they still play a role. And if you haven't had calcium in a while, you'll suffer for that one. That one sucks. But just eating food, we tend to get enough of those. I find a misconception around electrolytes is the volume. We actually don't need like an enormous amount of them for them to be effective. So as long as you're eating somewhere in the day as you're sweating. Now, if eating a meal, like if you're at a war or something, right, and you're going to be out on the field probably all day before you go back to camp, that's when I would pack some snacks and some electrolyte drinks just to replenish all of the electrolytes. But look for one that has more than just sodium in it. So not Gatorade, actually.
Not really.
Not Gatorade.
Okay. What have you tried Propel? Like, what do you think? Like, because I think Gatorade is the one we all think about, right?
It's okay. It's not a bad one. It just doesn't have all of the things you'll need.
And so I guess Tristan behind the scenes is saying that there are also electrolyte supplements.
Yep. There's little like squeezies. You can just pop a couple drops in your water, for example, or powders. There's some powdered kinds. A brand that I like is called Salties. I know, but it's more than just sodium. It has actually less sodium than a lot of the other ones.
Okay.
And it has your potassium and magnesium as well.
Okay. Yeah. With the fruit that you recommend that we eat, because bananas I know have potassium in them, but the reality is bananas bruise and they get ripe and they're lousy for.
You could bring your potato.
Everybody potato. What about potato?
Don't just eat a raw potato.
My emotional support potato. Yeah. Trust me, guys, this is going to tie into this episode. I promise you, this potato will into this episode.
But I think what you're like eating the fruit will cover some of your bases from the electrolyte standpoint, correct? So the snacks that exist, if you have like an orange slice and a pickle, you're doing pretty good.
Okay.
You're doing pretty good. Yeah.
Something that I really like is the morning after is to make like a banana pancake using like bananas and oatmeal mixed in together, mash it up. So it doesn't even matter how soft the banana's gotten, and then just cook it like you would a pancake. And it's like a rock star.
And a little bit of collagen peptides. That's my
little bit of collagen peptides. I do add that one in. And that one just really gets you through. Like if you're rushing to fight practice from work, that's really tricky, right? So you can kind of like grab it and eat it like a sandwich or a giant cookie.
It does
and then
very well,
and then maybe even the next morning sometimes if you've got leftovers, and it's quite I certainly don't cramp in my legs as much too because of that one.
Sadb, I know you have a question.
Yeah. So I am, of course, excited to hear as we keep going that the answer to a lot of questions is just eat normal food.
Yes.
But since we were talking about like at wars when you're going to be out on the field all day, it also reminded me of a comment that got made in a nutrition-ish class that I was sitting in Gulf Wars last year, where the person teaching it basically went, yeah, you can do all this great nutrition stuff at home, and then we all come to war and we immediately completely change all of our habits, and we are eating total garbage and eating probably way too much, and we're drinking a lot, and we're doing all these things. So like I'd be curious to get some real practical tips maybe for how to do better at war without feeling like you're giving up all of the like fun things about vacation.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a great question. I think that's $1 million question. Okay. So
make the fighting at war
yeah, exactly. Because there are some high stakes tournaments there too. And who wants to poop out on the melee early? Okay, for that one, I would suggest first of all, try to eat regularly, no matter what the thing is. So one of the basic tenets of just feeding our metabolism in general and keeping our metabolism functional is consistent input. So regardless of what your options are, try not to skip eating if you can. I would say that would be number one priority. Number two, hydration. Actually, hydration might even be number one, but hydration, please. That one's so easy to do. You can bring a water jug with you or a water bottle. There's water available. Stay really well hydrated. Your body is going to do a lot better navigating the change from your norm when it at least has its foundational nutrient. And we don't really talk about this a lot, but water is one of the nutrients. It's the one we need at the most quantity. So do your body that favor, and it'll at least navigate it a little bit better and be able to flush things out regularly. Third, my suggestion would be to at least plan a little. What I find a lot when it comes to food and eating is people have a very strong all or nothing mentality. But that does a disservice to us. Anything like something is going to be better than nothing. It doesn't have to be perfect. So let that go. If you can at least have a solid breakfast or at least have a solid lunch, even if it's not every single meal at the day, that is still going to help you. So that's what I would focus on, is pick like one thing you can kind of stick to that won't disrupt your fun. So for me, it usually is breakfast, because after that, who knows what I'm doing. I don't really know sometimes, and who knows where I'll end up. So it's breakfast. I always have my breakfast. It's a big thing for me. I don't like to be interrupted even. Cashin knows. It's my sacred time.
I sure do know.
Then I'm good to go. But then I'm good. I have a solid foundation, and I really just focus on staying hydrated the rest of the day and eat. I always have something if I find myself like, oh, it's been 4 hours and I haven't eaten and I'm in the middle of B block. I have a snack on me, kind of thing. So carrying snacks is also a great tactic for yourself. That's a big one too. And there's so many different protein and granola bars out there. I'm sure you can find a snack you like that travels pretty well.
Yeah.
I always have poached food at Penzic.
You always have what?
Poached food. Sorry, it's my Canadian accent. Pouch food.
Pouch food?
Pouch
food that lives in her pouch.
Pouch food. Okay.
Yeah. And I just usually Dad's oatmeal cookies are really good. I mean, that's the brand, Dad's.
Uh-huh.
And they come 2 to a package.
Yeah.
But there are other things that you can buy, but I carry poached food with me because I tend to go to the field and then just never really leave it again.
Yeah.
So absolutely poached food. So
yeah, exactly. Those whole wheat Uncrustables are a really solid one if you're looking for something that's pretty well-rounded from a balance perspective.
I would like to add, although I do not cook at all, and I'm very bad at what I do cook, Gigan, you mentioned banana pancakes. There are banana cookies. It's two ingredients. Well, it can be two ingredients. It's just oatmeal and mushed up banana in pretty much equal amounts.
Yeah.
That's about what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found when I made those are terrible. So I added some cinnamon and they got way better.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason
I can share it. I
turned
can
me
share
on to
the
these
recipe.
is
It's very simple. It's
yeah.
I love it. It's 1, 2, 3. That's how I
Yeah,
like it. 1 banana, 2 eggs, and 1/3 of a cup of oats.
Okay, eggs are an
Mix it all
ingredient
up.
that are not often in my fridge here. Well, I'm a really guys, and you talked about being a bachelor. You have nothing on you, man.
Sir Bess is the real bachelor.
You're the bachelor rock star.
Yeah.
I live to your example.
But what I will say is, when you mentioned your banana pancakes, it occurred to me that the oatmeal and banana cookies, is this, okay, so this is collagen. You had mentioned collagen
Yeah.
peptide. Would this be a collagen peptide? Because this says collagen protein.
Collagen is a form of protein. Yeah.
Okay. How do I know if this is a
It's
collagen
probably the same
peptide?
thing.
How do I know if this is a collagen peptide?
Does it look at the back of the label?
This is one scoop.
Say peptide anywhere?
No, but it tells me that there were, oh my God, eggshell membranes in this. Jesus. And chicken bone broth. Well, and chickens. This is disgusting now I'm reading it. It was very highly recommended on all of the top collagens.
It's very difficult for me to give you an answer on things
Okay.
when I don't see the label because there's so much variety in products out there. They're all different. But all collagens are based on peptides, so it is collagen peptides.
Should I look for the word
there.
like you got there, peptides?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Collagen peptides.
Okay. Anyhow,
I can give you like a 15% discount code for Orgain if you want.
Going back to this though, for pouch food though, if you were to put collagen with a peptide or collagen peptides with oatmeal and banana, they're not mushy. These things are like good solid cookies.
Yeah, they're good. They're firm. Like Dawson said, you can just take and grab and go with them and just eat them.
They keep really well too.
They travel well.
So if you're rushing from work and you've had a rough day, you can just head right to the tournament or rush out to, if you got to drive up a Friday before the event or something. Yeah. It's just easy to put in a baggie or
I like that because
if you like texture, just use the oats as is. If you don't like texture, run it through a blender and they'll be nice smooth pancakes.
Now I have to buy a blender.
Do you have a coffee grinder?
Yes. Okay.
You can grind the oats in the coffee grinder before you add them, and then
I'm not a monster, Melanya. Of course, I have a coffee grinder. God. So I
bachelor. We didn't know.
I do have some more questions, and I'm sorry we're not going to get to all the questions I have, but I would like to get to two what I think are super important questions that, especially at this time of year, as I'm going through Facebook, I hear a lot about highly processed foods, and this is where my potato comes in, because I'm not sure that I fully understand highly processed foods. This is a potato. If I just bake it, it's just baked. It's not processed. If I slice it and were to, fry it and it becomes French fries, it's more delicious. But does that make it high? It's still transforming it from raw to cooked. And then if at home, I take this, and this I actually will do, if I mash it and I add salt and a little bit of butter and some milk, and maybe some garlic, because yum.
So that is cooking.
Okay. See, yes, I can cook potatoes, people. My Scottish ancestors are proud of me. Is the mashed potato that I would make out of this, is that a highly processed potato? Like, what's a highly processed food? Because all I know is I'm not supposed to eat them.
Yes, that's a great conundrum of our time. Unfortunately, there isn't actually a definition for highly processed because it is a spectrum. It is a degree of processing. So anything we do to food after nature creates it is a level of processing. So even baking your potato, you are processing it now. But it's minimally processed. Processing itself isn't the devil. It's not going to change things too drastically to make it worth eating. Like we cook meat before we eat it. So
I'm not going to run down a cow and eat.
Right? That's still processing, but it's minimally processed. So what this comes down to is, where do you individually draw your line in the sand? That's really what it comes down to.
So
my level,
okay,
as a nutrition professional, if you want some guidance on determining your level of where this line goes, is I flip the package around and I look at the ingredients. Okay. Now, there might still be words on there that aren't actual foods, but what I'm looking for is that the first few ingredients are actual foods. That is a big tell. Okay. If the first few ingredients are not, like say first five ingredients, you're going into the woods of highly processed. I also look at the length of the ingredients list, and if it's longer than it should be, that's also going to be highly processed. I know this is ill-defined. We'll say longer than 10 to 15, just because like bread still has a few different ingredients in it. But I like to use peanut butter for this analogy because it's a very simple food. Your potato works really well too, right? What is peanut butter? It's just peanuts. It's literally ground up peanuts. There shouldn't be anything. So I also just apply it like a little bit of logic to that, right? What is this product? What should be in it? If it's peanut butter, I really just want to see peanuts on that ingredients list. But if I see 8 different things, that's a highly processed peanut butter. Maybe peanuts and salt, if I'm being generous. So think of the food it is you're eating, right? Think of bread. When you look at a loaf of bread, what goes into baking bread, right? Flour, eggs, sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda. There shouldn't be too many things. So if you have 50 ingredients in your bread, that would be kind of crossing the line into highly processed. Does that help a little bit?
Yes. And the reason we don't like highly processed is because
it doesn't work the same way in your body. And that's going back to one of the first things I said, the difference between a nutrient and just a compound that exists in our food. Our body doesn't necessarily have a use for all of the things in those highly processed foods.
So, Sadb, you mentioned earlier when you're in the gym that, like, within that 30-minute, you grab a protein bar, right? And was I correct?
When I was doing lots of like weightlifting and really working to build muscle and really got into the gym bro thing, like that was the advice was, first of all, you should just be eating a crap ton of protein all the time. But it was also like right after your workout, you should be having a protein shake or a protein bar or something. You should be getting some protein right afterwards. And it turns out at least that much was
true. Yeah.
But I guess I had, or really it was someone put a question in the chat that I wanted to bring up, since we're back on the topic of nutrients and often as they're called macros, because the macronutrients, someone was asking, like, we've established we don't want to do the super complicated diets, but is there a set percentage or proportion or something of those big macros that works for everyone, or is it far more person specific? And if so, like, how do you figure that out?
Yeah.
So tying into a comment from somebody on the chat, does age factor in?
Yes, to all of it. So how to factor that in is a question I would have to answer on a very individual level. So if you're really wanting to go into this, you can contact me outside here or find another dietitian to work with. On a more general perspective, though, the macros matter, and there is a certain proportion we want to get, but I wouldn't count macros. I would look at it as a whole food perspective. So roughly, we want to aim for about half fruits and vegetables, quarter protein, and quarter complex carbohydrate. And that gives us the ratio, I'll get to you in just a second, of macros and micros. We don't want to forget about the vitamins and minerals, those micronutrients. If you're just counting macros, you're also not determining the quality of those macros. Sorry, go ahead.
When you're saying half and a quarter, is that half by
Visual.
calories, by
Just go
volume,
visually.
by okay,
Just visually, yeah. So we'll say volume.
okay.
Visual volume. And this is also like the realistic way to do it, is kind of what I'm sharing, right? Because as we talked about before, if you get nitty-gritty with weighing stuff and counting things, that takes up a lot more headspace and is almost a full-time job in and of itself. And we, though we love this game and devote a lot of ourselves to it, usually don't get paid to do this, and this is not our full-time job. So we don't have to make it that. The other issue I have with counting things is it's all an estimate at the end of the day. So you're putting all this energy into something for just a guess. So if you're going to guess, you might as well do it visually, save yourself all that headspace and headache, and still get really darn close. And again, visually accounting for it, going based on the food groups, is not just going to account for the macros, but those micronutrients as well, which play a big role.
This makes me a little sad because I don't hear you saying, yes, Bess, please enjoy your dark chocolate. I'm a little saddened by this, I have to admit.
Well, cocoa does come from a plant, so you can put that on the vegetable side.
So half a plate of chocolate.
This morning, Melanya, I did bring up the copies of vegetable, and you stared at me.
I did.
I don't
Because it's a juice. I'm just kidding.
I have all the visual things for this episode tonight.
Variety is also important if you can get variety. So maybe not just chocolate, but have like
there we go.
Dark
strawberries with it.
Dark chocolate and milk chocolate. So I've got the variety.
So cocoa itself is actually pretty nutritious. The process of making chocolate from cocoa is what adds all the stuff we don't need to it, per se.
The deliciousness is
so,
what I'm thinking. So the one other question that I really do want to get to tonight, you guys, I appreciate all the comments you've been making, like the viewers. You guys have been rocking the questions tonight. But one question that I do have a lot of interest in is, I have friends that are taking Ozempic. We've been hearing a lot about it in the news up here in Canada just recently. How does if somebody is taking Ozempic or Wegovy or any of those kind of, they have a name, but I know those are brand
GLP-1 agonist.
Yes, and that's why I
classification.
why I call them that. How does that impact it? So say you've been looking to lose some weight, but you're on these, but now you also want to eat well, or you're wondering about how your macros, micros, and nutrients are impacting this.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I'm glad you brought that up. Kind of going back to a point raised by Sir Sadb. Sorry, I had to really think about how to say your name properly.
You got it. You nailed it.
Thank you. 5, but not 5. Thank you. And now I forgot my point. Dang it.
Macros, nutrients, Wegovy.
Oh, goals. No, goals is what it was. You want to think about your goals. And if you try to do multiple goals at once, just realize it will be harder and take longer, is kind of what I'm getting at. So if your goal is weight loss, that is separate from a goal of performance.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Not that you still can't fight and get better at fighting, because there's more than just your performance, right? You can still work on technique and lots of things there. But how that shows up in your tournament fighting might be a little bit different while you're on that medication. And just don't take it personally. It's one of the big things. Realize that medication is running interference on how your body processes and uses its energy. So even if you get fatigued early, that's not you, that's the medication causing this to happen. And you just kind of got to accept that, so to speak, until you've achieved that goal and you can come off of the medication. Something to mention, I do want to say a few things about this just for folks who might be on these or are considering taking them. You will expect a little bit of a hit in your performance because your body isn't getting as much energy. Part of this is inhibiting your ability to eat enough. which I have some ethical concerns about. But even if you're going to do it, your body still needs the same amount of nutrients. It's just going to be harder for you to get them, and you're probably not going to be getting them. You are causing a temporary nutrient deficit across the board when you take these medications, and your body is going to be more tired and take longer to recover because of that. So pace yourself and give yourself that recovery time. Don't try to do back-to-back practices. Give yourself a day or two off in between. Even like if you go to war, maybe don't fight every single day. Give yourself some time in between to give yourself like the recovery from it. That's going to be extended. The three big things on that medication, I'm going to say, just to help protect your muscle integrity, because that is a big focus from a nutrition standpoint. Many of my clients are on GLP-1 agonists, and protecting your muscle is one of our biggest goals. Because when your body doesn't have enough energy coming in, it's going to start breaking things down. And yes, it uses fat, but it doesn't just use fat. It will break anything it can get its hands on if it's desperate, so to speak. And if we're not just existing, but also exerting ourselves while we're on this medication, right? Someone just living and doing their normal job isn't necessarily going to have to tap into these extra energy reserves, but we're demanding extra of our body as fighters. So with that, eating consistently becomes a bigger, more important thing. Even if you can't fit much in, at least try to get something regularly so your body's not going without. When it goes without is when it starts to get desperate. If you can get a little bit of balance, even if you can't eat a full meal, try to pair protein with something with fiber in it, like even if you can't get the full food groups like the fruit, veggie, protein, whole grain, at least get protein with one or the other, the fruit, veggie, or whole grain. So it's not completely lopsided. And the third piece is, and I don't think this is really a big deal since we're talking about fighters here, use your muscles. That's the other one. If you're on this medication and you're not using your muscles regularly, I'd say 2 times a week at minimum, that's another point where your body's going to start pulling from them. Essentially, if they're just sitting around collecting dust, your body is going to want to burn that up. So that's kind of the big considerations there. Yeah.
So one of the questions, and I'm really sad, darn it, that I left this towards the end because I have a personal interest in this question.
Okay.
Say you had a soft tissue injury in a surgery on no particular body part, but say it was your sword arm. I'm just tossing this out. No reason at all. Would there be foods or elbows or wrists?
Yeah.
Really, if you're a fighter and you're watching, you've had an injury at some point in time. If you haven't had your surgery, wait, we've got yours scheduled. It's coming. Yep. What would you be recommending to recover for particular soft tissue injuries? We don't see that many broken bones, but we do see a lot of soft tissue injuries here in the SCA. What would you recommend for those?
No, great question. Emphasizing the recovery period again is a big one. Hydration. I'm going to start with that one. Just like when we're sick and we need extra hydration, our sick or injury, our body's responding very similarly. It's going into a heightened inflammatory state, and it's going to need more water to do all of the process it does. One, to reduce the instance of infection. So say maybe you have an open wound somewhere too, like maybe you had a surgery on your shoulder or your elbow or wherever. You're going to want to reduce the risk of infection, but even just the inflammation of that area, right? If you're bruised or things are swollen, that's a sign of inflammation too. So if you have any type of injury, there is going to be inflammation, and we're going to want water. Going along with the inflammatory perspective of this is eating foods that have a high anti-inflammatory capacity, or antioxidants, as we call them, which are going to be most of your plant-based foods. So your fruits, your veggies, your whole grains. The exception to the plant rule would be things like fish with the high omega-3s. Those are also going to be very beneficial. So I would load up on all the antioxidant rich foods. The Mediterranean diet is a pretty gold standard for those types of foods. If you want to just do a quick Google search and look at Mediterranean diet, most of those are anti-inflammatory. That's a really nice protocol for your recovery period.
Is it true things like vitamin C help? Like bonus vitamin C, like pills, tablets? delicious?
Yes, a little bit. They're not going to be. They'll give your immune system a little bit of a boost if infection is a challenge. And vitamin C is one of our more common antioxidants for sure. Um, they're not going to prevent things, right? And they're not going to like make you better in a day. I'll say it that way. But they do help. Yeah.
Okay. And finally, we've been talking about collagen peptides, or collagen, as I like to call it. Um, this is sponsored by Collagen, tonight's episode.
I know.
When I
Collagen in general.
just really collagen. When I started, I was told that you needed to take it consistently for months. Is that all before you could see some sort of?
Oh no.
No.
You'll see it like the next day. Yeah.
Get the hell out of town. Are you serious?
Yeah.
And
That-
how long? Like, I take this every day and I throw it in my coffee.
I do too.
It's because why not, right? Along with my highly processed protein powder and it's coffee. How long does it stay in your body? So, like, if I were to take this today, you may not know the answer, and that's okay. I threw that one at you. How long?
You did.
How long does it stay in? Do you know?
Well, we don't know, I guess it would be a good answer.
Okay.
The body also produces collagen, so there's really not a great way for us to tell, like if we're measuring your body's like storage for say of collagen, there's not really a way for us to distinguish the collagen you produce from the collagen you're consuming. But I would say, from what I've observed, you do have a little bit of a buffer effect. So if you take it, you probably got maybe 4 or 5 days before it's going to wear out, and you'll need to take another amount to see the same effect.
Okay.
That's what I observed just from practice. Yeah.
Wow, that's neat. It also makes me pleased because I've been taking this stuff for ever since some of my previous surgeries, and I keep waiting. And yet,
Yeah.
so I feel really awful because it's 9:28,
Oh.
and I had so many questions. Melanya, you have been super fantastic. You've been a wealth of knowledge tonight. I want to thank you. Real quick before we like wrap up. Scythe, do you have any questions that we can do in the next couple of minutes for Melanya? You don't have to, or any comments.
Yeah, nothing specific, more just to like final thoughts, parting words.
Okay,
highlights
what are
for the
your
crowd.
final thoughts, your parting words?
Other than clearly everybody needs to drink more water just all the time. Water, very important. And nutrition doesn't have to be hard. What are your other sort of major takeaways you want people to have from this episode?
Listen to your body. I don't think I said that quite explicitly yet. But nutrition is relative, right? And it's everybody needs something a little bit different. We have certain tenets that we know of how nutrition behaves in the body, like nutrients behave in the body. But there is also a certain degree of we need to apply that to one's own lifestyle and how your body functions. We all have different lifestyles. We all have different sets of conditions. We all have different genetics. And that also plays a role in how our body uses the nutrients we're giving it. So everything that we've said and anything you might hear ever or in the future, just kind of try to blend that with what you know to be true for yourself as well.
Master Gigan?
I might just interject that because I am Melanya's partner, that like I came in to my when I first met Melanya, I lived in a 14 by 14 apartment that I could touch the roof of my hand, and I ate like junk and a bag of chips before practices, and it really does help. But I also want to make sure everyone knows that like it's hard at first to start eating and being more conscientious and learning these little things. You don't have to do it at once. You just do a little bit at a time. If I really did start off with just making myself a better food on my way to fight practice. And then a couple of years later, I am more conscientious and aware. I didn't do it all at once, and I didn't give up. And then sometimes I have better days and sometimes I don't. But it can be like within your time span to help you with it.
Thank you. So we are going to be posting a link for Melanya. So anybody who has any questions, can reach out to her. Sorry, I got a dog down here. Can reach out to her and ask her questions. So we will be posting that. We were hoping to have a QR code, but it doesn't seem like we're able to have it up here. If anybody would like to reach out to Melanya, please reach out to me and I can give you her contact information and you can talk to her directly.
If you already know me, you can just message me. But if you don't know me, you can go through Sir Bess.
Yeah, just I think it's single point of contact, but
okay, I gotcha.
Well, no, like reach it. Okay, I didn't want to say you were on Facebook. Okay, I was trying to like be considerate. Well, that's out the door now.
Oops.
Okay, so but if you can't find her on Facebook, you can reach out to me and I can pass on the contact information. We will also have a form for you to fill out if you would like to a Google form. We're figuring out where to post the link so that you can reach out to her. If nothing else, we can put it on the Coaches Corner discussion group to at least start, get it out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to reach out to her privately and get her information. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody who watched and contributed. Your questions are really good. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions. We didn't get to half of what I was hoping we'd get to tonight. That's typical Coaches Corner. We'll see you all again in 2 weeks. So I wish you all the very best in your 2026. Good night, everybody.
Night. Thank you for having me.
Man,